Alright, so the instructions say write an equation for the sequence and then graph. So first off, we're talking about arithmetic sequences, and this one is an arithmetic sequence because, as you can see, our common difference, we are adding 5 each time. So when I write an equation for an arithmetic sequence, our base formula is a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times our common difference. So just a reminder, this is our nth term. This is our first term. Again, we'll plug in whatever n is, we'll plug in here, and then our d is our common difference. Okay, so with this specific example, erase this and we'll plug and chug. So my first term, my nth term equals my first term, which is -2, plus my n is basically my variable, and then my common difference is 5. I want to write it as a linear equation, so I'm going to distribute. And we have the nth term equals -2 plus 5n minus 5. I can combine like terms. -2, -5, so my equation a sub n equals 5n minus 7. Now when I graph, I come here and I'm just going to graph my first 5 terms. So for 1, 2, 3, I'll just go my 4 here. My first term is 1, -2. Second term is 3. Third term is going to be 8. And so on. So as you can see, if you were to make a much nicer graph, this is going to be a good linear representation of the sequence. Alright, here's another example. This one's from section 6. It says write an equation for the function in function notation for the relation. So there's a couple ways we can do this. If you remember, we talked about on Tuesday we can make a table for the values which are in the graph. In this case, I know 0, 3 is definitely a point. If you look closer, it's 1, 2, 2, 1, and 3, 0. So what we're kind of looking for is we want to figure out what our slope is, our rate of change. And in our y, we are decreasing by 1 each time, as our x is decreasing by, or is actually increasing by +1. So our slope is -1 over 1, which is just -1. And then the next thing we want to ask ourselves is how, if I take -1 times x, how do I get to y? Well, looking here at the first one, if I take -1 times 0, I get 0. I would need to add 3 to get to y. And if you continue that trend, again down here, 3, 0, if I take -1 times 3, I get -3. How do I get to 0 from -3? I would add 3. Then the other note to this is it says function notation, so all we're going to do is change this to f of x equals -1x plus 3.